Let me start with a question that might hit close to home. Have you ever shared something deeply personal, your dreams, your struggles, your relationship, your fears, only to watch it get twisted, judged, dismissed, or used against you? If you have, then you already understand this truth. Not everyone deserves access to your personal life. In fact, sometimes keeping things to yourself is the most powerful move you can make. We live in an age where oversharing is glorified. People treat their personal lives like open books, pages fluttering in the storm of likes, comments, and judgment. But here's the reality. What you reveal becomes what others control. When you hand over the intimate details of your life, you give people power they didn't earn and don't always use wisely. You lose the mystery. You lose the advantage. And most of all, you lose the inner peace that comes from knowing that your most sacred thoughts and experiences belong to you alone. There's strength in silence. There's clarity in privacy. And there is unmatched confidence in knowing that the world only knows what you allow it to know. Why should you never share your personal life? Because privacy is protection. The more you talk, the more you expose your vulnerabilities. The more you reveal, the more you give people the blueprint to your insecurities. And here's what's even worse. Many people don't listen to support you. They listen to judge, to gossip, to compete, to compare their lives to yours. Not everyone who smiles is your friend. Not everyone who listens is loyal. Your personal life is sacred ground. Tread carefully with whom you let walk across it. When you choose to be silent about your goals, your progress, and your setbacks, you create a protective barrier. You build a wall between your reality and their opinions. And trust me, that wall is worth building. Privacy isn't secrecy, it's maturity. It is understanding that some parts of your journey are not meant for public consumption. It's knowing that some blessings grow best in silence. It's realizing that when no one knows what you're up to, they can't sabotage it. They can't doubt you. They can't mock your dreams when they don't even know what they are. The most successful people in the world often operate in silence. They let their results speak. They don't feel the need to broadcast every move, every plan, every personal milestone. Why? Because they understand that energy is better spent building than explaining. They know that silence is a strategy, and it works. So if you've been tempted to post every relationship update, every personal struggle, every achievement, pause. Ask yourself, why am I sharing this? Is it for validation? Is it for attention? Or is it because you've been conditioned to believe that privacy equals loneliness? That's the lie society feeds you. But the truth is, privacy equals power. When no one knows what you're doing, they can't interfere. When no one knows your weaknesses, they can't exploit them. When no one knows your dreams, they can't plant seeds of doubt in your mind. Silence, my friend, is not emptiness. It is full of purpose. Let me leave you with this. Your personal life is like a house. You wouldn't leave the doors wide open for strangers to walk in and take what they want, right? So why do that with your inner world? Lock the door, draw the curtains, let only the trusted few inside. The rest of the world, let them wonder, let them guess, let them see only what you choose to show. Because when you learn to protect your privacy, you begin to live from a place of power. And nothing is more motivational than walking through life fully in control of your own story. You see, sharing your personal life isn't just about letting others in, it's about giving them tools. Tools they can use to shape your reputation, tools they can turn into rumors, tools that can be polished into weapons. The moment you put your private moments out in the open, they stop belonging to you. They become public property, open to distortion, misinterpretation, and misuse. That's the risk of vulnerability in the wrong company. And here's the kicker. Not everyone who receives your story respects it. Some people see your openness as weakness. They'll smile to your face and use your words as ammunition behind your back. This is not about living in fear, it's about living with wisdom. There's a difference between being authentic and being exposed. Authenticity is choosing when, where, and how much to reveal. Exposure is letting your guard down indiscriminately. If you want peace, you must learn the art of selective silence. The people who truly care won't need your constant updates to stay close. They'll respect your boundaries. They'll honor your space. They won't push for details you're not ready to share. And the ones who demand to know everything, they're often more interested in entertainment than empathy. There's a strange comfort in being a mystery. When people don't know your every move, they can't form assumptions that affect your energy. They can't create false narratives. They can't manipulate your reality. Silence confuses the nosy. It frustrates the manipulative. It empowers the disciplined. Think about it. How many dreams have been derailed because they were spoken too soon? How many relationships have crumbled under the weight of public scrutiny? How many battles have been lost because the strategy was revealed before the fight even began? Too many. And all because someone thought that sharing was always a virtue. But here's the truth, not every battle requires an audience. Not every win needs applause. Some victories are best savored in silence. Some transformations are more powerful when revealed only after they're complete. People love to comment on the process, but they can't argue with results. So instead of explaining your journey, finish it. Instead of updating the world, shock them with the outcome. The less they know, the better. Not because you're hiding, but because you're focused. Silence keeps you locked in. It keeps your energy centered. It keeps the distractions out. And let's not forget the emotional toll of oversharing. When you open your life to too many people, you open yourself to their opinions, their judgments, their expectations. Suddenly, you're no longer living for yourself. You're performing for an invisible crowd. Every move becomes calculated, every word filtered. You become a character in your own story instead of the author. That's the price of too much exposure. It robs you of authenticity, not enhances it. The more you share, the more you invite comparison. The more you reveal, the more you invite critique. And before you know it, your life becomes a reaction to others instead of a reflection of who you truly are. Protecting your privacy is not about being cold. It's about being conscious. It's knowing that not everyone is meant to walk every mile of your journey with you. Some people are just passing through. Some are here to test your boundaries. And some are here to remind you that solitude is not a punishment, it's a preparation. When you choose to keep parts of your life private, you are investing in your peace, your progress, and your personal power. And that right there is one of the smartest decisions you'll ever make. There's a moment in every person's life when they realize that silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the armor that protects you from the noise, the drama, and the unsolicited opinions of a world that always has something to say. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop opening every door for every passerby, something incredible happens. You become stronger, not louder, not more popular, but more grounded, more focused, more unshakable. In a society that encourages you to constantly post, talk, reveal, and prove, choosing privacy is a rebellion. A quiet revolution, a declaration that says, my life is mine, my peace is mine, my journey is not up for public consumption. Think about how often people ask, what's going on with you? But not to understand you, just to feed their curiosity. They don't want the truth, they want a story, a narrative they can spin, share, or store away for future comparison. And when you give them that story, you lose something. You lose control. You give them a glimpse into your soul, and some will cherish it, but most will dissect it, analyze it, share it, and when the tide turns, even weaponize it. That's why silence is your sanctuary. The less people know, the more peaceful your world becomes. You owe no one your full story. You are not obligated to share your scars just to prove you've healed. You don't need to reveal your next move to show ambition. Your value doesn't increase because you broadcast your pain or publicize your plans. What makes you powerful is what you withhold, not what you release. The most influential people often live quietly. They move in silence and let the world see only what they want it to see. That's not secrecy, it's sovereignty. It's choosing to keep your soul uncluttered by external noise. Some of the deepest pain you'll ever experience will come from giving too much of yourself to the wrong people. People who pretended to care. People who used your honesty as a way to elevate their own ego. People who turned your trust into talking points. That betrayal, that sting, it doesn't come from silence. It comes from sharing too soon, too wide, too carelessly. And when it happens enough times, you learn that boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges that only allow those who respect your privacy to cross into your life. The truth is, you grow faster when you grow quietly. Your evolution doesn't need an audience. Your healing doesn't need applause. Every time you keep a goal to yourself, you protect it from doubt. Every time you deal with your struggle privately, you build resilience. And every time you celebrate your wins in silence, you preserve the sacredness of the journey. Because that's what this is really about. Not isolation, but preservation. Preserving your energy, preserving your focus, preserving your peace in a world that constantly tries to shake it. And let's not pretend that people always want what's best for you. Sometimes people listen to your dreams just to feel better about their own stagnation. They watch your progress not to celebrate it, but to compete with it. And if they see you stumble, they don't offer a hand, they spread the story. That's the danger of visibility without discernment. When you share without filters, without caution, you expose yourself to energies that were never meant to touch you. Privacy also sharpens your instincts. When you stop outsourcing your thoughts, when you stop airing your process, you start hearing yourself more clearly. Your intuition strengthens. You stop second-guessing every decision because you're not performing for the crowd. You're honoring your own voice. And that's the most reliable compass you'll ever have. When the only validation you seek is internal, you move with more purpose, more precision, more peace. So if you're wondering whether to post that update, to share that plan, to reveal that relationship, pause. Reflect. Ask yourself, what value will this add to my life if I share it? If the answer is none, keep it to yourself. Because your silence is not a void, it's a fortress. It's a space where your dreams can grow, your peace can deepen, and your spirit can recharge. And in that space, you'll find that the most powerful version of you doesn't need to be seen or heard to be real. It just needs to be protected. Exposure is expensive, and the currency you pay with is your mental energy, your emotional balance, your spiritual peace. Every time you tell the world your plans, you invite opinions that weren't needed. Every time you disclose your personal struggles, you open the door to unsolicited advice, judgmental comments, or worse, silence when you expected support. It's a costly trade, one that rarely gives back what it takes. And the irony, the people you try to impress with your openness often forget your details faster than you think. You carry the weight while they just scroll past. There's a reason solitude has always been a sacred space. It's where clarity lives, it's where creativity breathes, it's where your most profound decisions are born. But the minute you open that space to everyone, the noise rushes in. People start projecting their fears onto your dreams, their bitterness onto your joy, their doubts onto your ambitions. And suddenly your path no longer feels like yours. It feels tainted, manipulated, blurred by the voices of others. That's what happens when you treat your life like public property. You lose the sacredness of your own direction. Many people think they're being transparent when in fact they're just being unguarded. There's a difference. Transparency is intentional. It's built on trust, timing, and discernment. It's about sharing with purpose, not pressure. Unguarded sharing is emotional leakage. It's reactive. It's often fueled by insecurity or the desire for attention. And it always comes with consequences. The more accessible you are, the more people feel entitled to your life, your choices, your story, your truth. And once that door is open, it's nearly impossible to close without conflict. Protecting your personal life doesn't mean pushing people away. It means choosing who truly deserves a seat at your table, who has earned the right to kindness. Your fears, your dreams, your inner world. Not everyone deserves that access. Some people are only in your life to witness your outer success, not to walk through your inner struggles. And the sooner you recognize that, the more peace you'll have. Your personal life should be a sacred circle, not a public stage. Keep it small, keep it strong, keep it sacred. One of the most empowering feelings in the world is knowing something good is happening in your life and not telling anyone. Not because you're hiding it, but because you're protecting it. That peace, that satisfaction, that quiet pride, that's priceless. You start living not for validation, but for alignment. Not for applause, but for authenticity. You stop needing others to understand you because you fully understand yourself. And that's freedom. They say energy flows where attention goes. When you give too much attention to outside perception, your energy leaks. You start shaping your life to fit others' expectations instead of your own truth. But when you redirect that energy inward, something shifts. You start building instead of broadcasting. You start growing instead of explaining. You start living instead of performing. That's the power of privacy. It gives you back your energy, your direction, your sense of control. So if you've ever felt like you're too quiet, too private, too guarded, understand this. You are protecting the most valuable asset you have, your peace. You are choosing depth over noise, intention over impulse, real growth over public performance. And that choice, that discipline, that silence, it's not a weakness, it's a strategy, a strength, a sign that you are building something too precious to be diluted by careless words or fleeting attention. There's a level of peace, power, and purpose that can only be accessed when you become unshakable in your commitment to privacy. When your life stops being a broadcast and becomes a quiet, intentional journey, everything changes. You stop chasing applause and start chasing excellence. You stop seeking validation and start seeking fulfillment. The deepest transformations always happen in the dark, out of sight, off the stage, behind the curtain. Why? Because growth needs silence the way seeds need soil. Privacy is the dark room where dreams develop. It's the womb of reinvention. It's where you go not to hide, but to become. What's more powerful than a loud life is a disciplined one. A life lived with such intention that it doesn't need announcement. You become the person who moves with clarity and mystery. People notice your results but can't trace your process. They see your elevation but can't locate your ladder. They sense your confidence but can't find the source. That's what happens when you protect your personal life. You become an enigma. And in a world addicted to visibility, being unreadable is a superpower. You stop being a target for comparison, criticism, or imitation because no one knows what you're doing until it's already done. And let's talk about relationships. Your romantic life, your friendships, your family dynamics, these are sacred. They don't belong on timelines. They don't require validation from strangers. When you put your personal relationships on display, you expose them to commentary, envy, and unsolicited opinions. Love doesn't grow in a spotlight. It grows in trust, in consistency, in quiet commitment. Every time you overshare, you chip away at that foundation. But when you protect what's precious, you give it room to deepen, to evolve, to strengthen beyond the noise. Real love, whether romantic or platonic, needs privacy like fire needs oxygen. Your goals, they need protection too. The more you talk about what you're planning to do, the more pressure you place on yourself to perform for others. And the more people know your vision, the more interference they can bring. Some will doubt you, some will discourage you, some will copy you. But when you move silently, you give yourself the space to build without the burden of performance. You create from the inside out, not the outside in. And that's where true innovation is born, not in the echo chamber of public opinion, but in the sacred quiet of inner clarity. There's also immense emotional freedom in not having to explain yourself. When your personal life is private, you stop feeling the need to justify your choices. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you're changing, growing, setting boundaries, cutting ties, or starting over. You stop living in reaction to others and start living in alignment with yourself. You begin to honor your intuition, your timing, your truth, without filtering it through the lens of public perception. That's a kind of liberation most people will never know because they're too busy living in the spotlight they built for themselves. Privacy also creates room for resilience. When you face hardship silently, you learn to rely on your own strength. You build emotional endurance. You develop the ability to process pain, not perform it. And that creates unshakable confidence. You begin to realize you don't need pity or praise to survive. You just need purpose. You just need direction. You just need faith. And all of that can be cultivated in solitude, in silence, in stillness. There's a quiet kind of courage that comes from fighting battles no one knows about and winning them without a round of applause. That's the kind of strength that never fades. Now let's talk about legacy. The greatest legacies are not built through noise, but through consistency, through integrity, through quiet commitment over time. When you look at people who changed the world, who built empires, who transformed industries, they weren't always the loudest. They weren't the ones constantly talking about what they would do. They were the ones doing it day after day, without needing a stage, without seeking constant attention. They were too focused on the mission to stop and explain the method. And because of that, they left behind something real, something lasting, something that didn't need to be explained, only remembered. So if you're the kind of person who values depth over drama, purpose over popularity, and impact over attention, protect your privacy. Guard it like the treasure it is, not because you're hiding, but because you're building. Not because you fear judgment, but because you're focused on alignment. Not because you're disconnected, but because you're choosing intentionality over impulsivity. You're choosing growth that's rooted, not rushed. You're choosing a life that's lived fully, not filtered for the world to consume. In the end, the most powerful life you can live is one where your peace is non-negotiable, your boundaries are respected, and your inner world is your own. A life where you don't perform your progress but embody it. Where your strength isn't in what you share but in what you protect. Where your silence speaks louder than your words, and your presence says more than your post ever could. That's not just a private life, it's a powerful one. Never forget, the quieter you become, the more you can hear. The less you share, the more you preserve. The more you protect your personal life, the more you own your personal power. And in a world that constantly tries to distract, dilute, and define you, owning that power might be the most revolutionary act of all.